Yes.
To add to what you were saying, actually, I'm a photographer covering an Edo demo, which was some environmental protest, and that they actually used that act to say to protesters, you know, who arrested people under the Mental Health Act for shouting loudly. It's quite scary, actually. So, that's now being invoked. Actually, they're using it.
Really extraordinary. It's would it be fair to say that you know, a lot of culture is a form of thought crime as well? In terms of you know, if you're a novelist, for example, I mean, it's thought crime in a sense. I mean, I don't want to be overly push this definition, but actually that is its job, at least, if you like, to cause disturbance at some level.
Yes, I mean, actually, this isn't quite exactly related to thought crime, but it sort of feeds into it. There's actually next week there's a trial starting, an obscenity trial, which is the first obscenity trial for the written word for more than 30 years. The last one was Inside Linda Lovelace in '76, I think. Anyway, this chap it relates to thought crime. That somebody who has written a, and I'll talk about it again because obviously it's writing, but it's not culture, I would say. It's a chap who wrote a piece of violent pornography. Put it on an American, on a US site, but he lives here, and it's if you put it alongside the pornography that you can go into any bookshop and buy, whether it's William Burroughs or Marquis de Sade or Georges Bataille, this really is pretty thin stuff. It's not nice, but it's really.
Can you give us some examples?
It's called Girls Scream Aloud.
Okay.
And it's a fantasy about doing horrible things to girls aloud. And it's to girls aloud, that's right.
The band.
The band,
okay.
yes. And it's, you know, involves rape and murder, and it's not nice. But it's
So do you think that's because they're actually real people?
I think that's got something to do with it.
I think that's actually being pursued under Section 4 of the Prevention of Harassment Act.
No, it's the Obscene Publications
the
Act.
59 Act.
Yeah, which is very, very interesting. And but the thing again, what's sort of interesting about it is that again, it's sort of related to thought, although obviously it's, you know, you're producing something that may or may not have a harmful effect on people, and that's part of the whole issue around, you know, obscenity prosecutions. But it's the thoughts in this guy's head, this private individual's head, and in another time he would probably just have written it down in his diary perhaps and had it in a notebook under his mattress or whatever else, but now he blogs it.
Do you...
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
And so one of the sort of interesting things about this, and which I think in the end is what brings us closer to Orwell than anything else, is the whole question of invasion of privacy. And the extent to which we have lost our privacy, to the extent to which we give up that privacy. And I think this is quite a sort of interesting example of that. As well as being example very much about morality, what is acceptable, what isn't acceptable. And it seems that in some ways with this prosecution, which I possibly might be dropped, I think it might be dropped next week, I'm not sure, but it seems as if we've gone back to the 50s, not even to the 70s, but to the 50s, I think.
But what is wrong, though, with bearing down on such a rather fantasist?
Because it's a thought. This is somebody's thought.
If he was prosecuted under harassment rather than obscenity, would you have the same disagreement?
Yes, I would, because I wouldn't see how that was harassment. Again, it's somebody's fairly sort of unpleasant thoughts.
About real people,
though. But he's not threatening them. It'd be this would be different if he had written, "Oh, I'm going to come and chop your head off," or whatever else, and sent it to Cheryl. That's a different matter. That is harassment. But if you're writing something and you're putting it on what's become the way that people now publish or exhibit or show that they've done something, you put it online. You think you're safe because you put it on an American website that has different laws. I do not see that that's harassment.
But then, so because that brings us to questions of libel, defamation, slander, and stalking even.
Yes.
I mean, somebody doesn't necessarily have to be directly threatened to feel threatened by that person.
You see, the thing is, the great example of this is J.G. Ballard, because if you look at Ballard, who was so ahead of his time in every way, the kind of, and we know how much his work has upset huge numbers of people. But you know, Ballard was doing in a very if you like, sophisticated satire on what this poor guy was doing in his stupid blog about girls aloud.
I wanted to.
You put someone over there who's.
Oh, sorry, you're obscured by. Just because he was started, do you mind if we come straight to you?
Yeah,
You carry on.
I wanted to do two things. One, I wanted to kind of comment the point, because I think it's incumbent if you're a supporter of this government to say things like the sort of thing you were talking about there is wrong and shouldn't be happening. I think it's kind of important to make that point. I would hate to think that I was sort of nodding along and saying that's acceptable, and it isn't. But I also just wanted to speak about the role of technology in all this and the privacy, because we are choosing, a lot of us, to put huge amounts of information into what is the public sphere, and that information can be used against you in lots of different ways, and people will watch that information and see it. It may be used against you in the bad way because you know, as if you're a politician who once posed for a Facebook photo. One of my jobs was once in a by-election campaign to go through the candidate's Facebook page and take off pictures of him dressed as a woman. Because whilst we didn't care whether he dressed as a woman or not, if he did, if it was in the papers he dressed as a woman, then he would harm the campaign, and we had to kind of manage that. And there are, that's the kind of laughable scale, but then there's the serious scale that Joe was talking about. And we're choosing to put huge amounts of information, and people will see that information, and they will use it as they will. And I think one of the challenges for us as a society is how we deal with the deluge of information that we'll have about each other, the knowledge that we'll have about each other, the fact that it will be much easier to find out each other's secrets, our own personal crimes and mistakes, than it was 20 or 30 years ago. How we choose to deal with that will actually be a kind of new definition of our own personal freedoms.
Okay.
I think in a way that's just very quick, that's the one thing that perhaps Orwell didn't see, and why the hell should he have, was the extent to which we collude in that. Well, I mean, in some ways he sees how we collude in it very well, how people collude with totalitarian society, but not the extent to which we collude in invasion the way we are now.